Come on, Bitsy.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike. It is Bank Holiday Monday, I believe, the 26th of August, 2024, and we are back again because whether it's a bank holiday, whether it's New Year's Day, we will always try and get a stream out to you as best we can. Now, before we begin, a few things to go through. We're going to try and do the stream in about an hour. If you are new here, smash the like button. You will see in the bottom left-hand corner, we are ticking up very nicely at 158,000 almost. Hopefully we'll break that today. Aiming for 200,000 by the end of the year. I'm sure by the time we get to the end of the year, we will do some kind of massive giveaway. Maybe we'll give away 200,000 Satoshis. Maybe we'll give away, I don't know, 200,000 coins of some description, but that's the target for the end of the year. Bottom right hand corner, we're still on for 74,000. It might not feel it and it might not look it, but we are weeks away. Title of the show today, 5 weeks to go. What am I talking about? The beginning of October is, in theory, and based on the last 3 cycles, the last quarter of this year is where we start to really see acceleration in the market. So end of September, very beginning of October, maybe the first week or two in October is when we really kick on. That gives you 5 weeks, okay? If Bitcoin is at 60, 65, 70, $75,000 and all of the altcoins around it are in a similar pattern, it doesn't matter. The next 5 weeks should be the time for you to pack your bags, okay? So you still have time. Bitcoin today could drop to 60,000. In fact, that's the poll of the day. Are we going to go below 60,000 this week? I think is the poll, because we could very easily come down. We could be in a Bart Simpson, which we're going to go through in a minute. Excuse me. So that's the start of the show. What we're going to go through, we're going to go through Bitcartman. You see what I did there? Bitcartman. Are we in a Bart? We're going to go through what happened with the Ethereum ETF in month 1. We're going to talk a little bit about Toncoin. We're not going to talk too much about it. We are going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the XRP ODL and why that is bullish. And remember to never listen to anybody online. People telling you XRP is dead. People telling you Cardano is dead. Or Solana is the biggest scam. Okay, every single chain has its fault, including Bitcoin. But if you were to ask the mirror on the wall which was the fairest of them all, it would of course be Bitcoin. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have its own faults. We're going to talk about the token unlocks of the week, and then we're going to have a quick look at AI and the Singularity event. A few good mornings. Danny's in chat, Solo Sky, Kishan is here, Mags, Hidden Agendas. The usual crowd is here. So I'm glad to see you all. It's a bank holiday Monday. I'm not expecting many people to tune in, to be honest. I'm expecting most people to be away for the long weekend. And without further ado, I suppose we should get on and have a look at some prices, because that is why you're all here. So then Bitcoin is coming in at 63,750. Hasn't really moved an awful lot down. To be fair, yesterday was incredibly scary watching the Bitcoin price. It didn't move. It was solidly between 63.8 and about 64.2. And I think I said in Telegram yesterday that the CME gap, which we're going to look at in a minute, the CME gap is 63,800. So the second, we're going to close that today, of course. But I said we'd be within $500 of that today, and we are, because the CME gap is quite a good indication of where we're going to go to on the Monday. So Bitcoin coming in at 63.7. Ethereum still above $2,600, which was my bottom, so that's a good sign. BNB 562. Solana. Now that's an interesting one. Solana at 160. The reason that's interesting is we've had the news of the Solana ETFs being delayed, postponed, whatever you want to call it. And of course, the Cardano maxis jumped all over that, calling it a scam, calling it whatever you might be. but Solana has held its own, still coming in at 160. Again, I'm going to say this. I made a video about my price target for Solana by the end of the bull run. It is $1,000 with the ETF. I think I said $600 without the ETF. Okay, now $600 from here is roughly a 4x. And to be fair, if we're talking about a $10 trillion market cap, that would roughly be a 4x for the entire market. So maybe Bitcoin goes to 180, maybe Ethereum goes to 10, 11, 12,000, Solana 600. They're kind of the ballpark figures. But of course, if the ETF is approved in March next year, then that will just give it another 6 months to run. So potentially we could blow off $1,000 there. XRP coming in just under 60 cents. That hasn't moved in a week now. Let's go and have a look at the gainers and the losers. FET. Now, I have been questioning why FET was around 85 cents. And it was for a long time. Don't think 133 is a good price for FET in terms of a sell price. It should really be upwards of $3. And my target, I'd say my target at the end of the year is about $4 or $5 for FET. So although it is pumping, it is still criminally undervalued. It's only coming in at 3.3 billion. So it's not a massive price at the minute, which is good if you want to pick some up. Floki is up there, Potenza, Tron, Phantom, Chainlink. Again, I remember telling you to get Chainlink at $10. It's back at $12.50. A lot of the market has pumped. And Toncoin, we're going to look at the charts for Toncoin as well. Let's see what has been losing over the last 24 hours. Not a lot. Brett, again, Brett is a steal at 9 cents. It's a steal. I think Brett is easily going to go to 20, 30, 40 cents in the bull run. I can see it getting towards 5 billion in the bull run, not now. Polygon has retraced a little bit, nothing to worry about there. Not many losers. Mantra at 94 cents. If you can get Mantra at that price, again, that is a steal. It is a lot more speculation than delivery like Ondo, but still it's a great coin to hold. Moving further down, I'm expecting Monero to be really targeted in the next few months, especially with what's gone on over the weekend. Ondo is coming in at 72 cents. Another absolute steal. Now, let me bring up the agenda for the day. And let's get going. So what we're going to do is, I've only got a couple of X files because there's quite a few charts to go through. And I don't want to drag this into an hour and 20 minutes because I do appreciate that this is your bank holiday and you want it to be over as quick as possible. So this is the FET chart, okay? Yes, it looks lovely. If you zoom out, you will appreciate that it's only regaining a lot of what it lost. So it became a sell the news event. When the merge came through, the price dropped dramatically. But then again, so did everything else. Great. Nothing better than a missing tweet, which is fine. We have a lot to get through. We've got a lot of charts to get through at the beginning of the show. So then, new night. Wednesday, the 28th of August, 7 p.m. Central European Time. That is 8 hours from now on Wednesday. So whatever time zone you're in, 8 hours from now on Wednesday, we will do the new giveaway. Now, we did one last Wednesday. 11,500 people tuned in. 11,500 people last Wednesday tuned in. I don't know whether we're going to get 11,500 this week, but I'm expecting a good 7,000 or 8,000 on Wednesday to tune in. There will be a giveaway in Mu. We're going to go over Mu. We're going to go over the meme coin, what it is, where you can buy it. We're going to go over the charts. Is it bullish? It is on one of my top 3 meme coins for this bull run, along with the likes of Popcat and Brett. So don't fade Mu. And of course, you will see that Mu is the sponsor of the channel. So we will be giving away a prize on Wednesday night, or maybe several prizes. We might break it down for you. Now, just let me change this chart a little bit from the way the Oracle draws his charts. There we go. So what is this? This is the DXY, the dollar index. I have been drawing support lines everywhere and it never ceases to go lower. Now then, this is a perfect scenario for Bitcoin. What happened was we were coming up, which wasn't a good sign for me personally. You were breaking up there. We've been attempting to break this trend line. None of that happened. So what did we do? We didn't just come down to the trend line that I drew. We were in this channel. We broke straight down. We found it as resistance and we've come all the way down. Now, why is this happening? This is the strength of the US dollar versus everything else, and it's crashing, and we want it to crash. Now, there are some previous points that we found resistance at. One there, and we have come down to bounce off it here. Now, I do expect it to rally up. It has come down a long way in this very short space of time. So why is this important? Because a strong DXY, a strong Dixie, a strong dollar causes weakness in the price of Bitcoin. So if you go back to the end of last year, the last three months of last year, when Bitcoin was ripping to the upside, okay, look what happened to the DXY. Let me just highlight that area there. Okay, what was that? That entire drop there, where we went from 107 and we came all the way down to 100. So we lost about, what, 7% of value in the DXY in a 3-month period. That pushed Bitcoin. Bitcoin was always going to go on the pre-halving rally, we knew. But that was a positive move. Now look what we've done again. Okay, we have come crashing down. We haven't seen the massive rally that we saw in October because Bitcoin went from 15,000 to 70,000. But we have seen is a recovery from the lows at 49,000. We've come back up to 64,000. So yes, we've seen a recovery over this period of time, but you can't expect us to go on a 5x every time the DXY breaks down. But what we want to see is we'd like to see something like this, where that trend line comes down, it comes up, finds a level of resistance, and then breaks down again. That's what we want to see. And we're more than likely going to see it. So I do expect a move up of the DXY, maybe to about 103, maybe to about 102, who knows, something around that. Now, the CME gap, as far as I'm aware, will be closed. It was 63.8. I think it was 63.815. Give me 1 second. So it is 63.800 on the nose. Okay, that is the CME gap. So there isn't going to be a CME gap this week. That's what I'm trying to say. If you look at the price of Bitcoin today, if we go back to it, we are at 63.7. Wait for it to refresh. 63.720. So we are pretty much at the CME gap. We are on the nose. So we are opening today as we closed on Friday. And there we go, it's refreshing now, 63.795. So we've done it. There's no CME gap to worry about this week. Now, very quickly, we have a couple of other charts to look at. One is the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. We try and look at this at least once a week. And again, what can we see? If you scroll and zoom in, and zoom out a little bit, we are still in this downward pattern. This line here is where I think we will come to, which is 0.4. We're at 0.428. Again, what could happen if this drags out a little bit further and we come down maybe to October, which again is what we were talking about. What's going to happen is Chairman Powell is going to cut interest rates, and that is potentially when the alts are going to rally. Now that's going to happen at the end of September. I gave you October months ago because as a rule of thumb, the miners take 6 months to capitulate. So from April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So about October the 20th is the latest they will finish. But we're already starting to see that they're stopping and slowing down. So if you take off maybe 3 or 4 weeks, that takes you to about the 20th of September. So the likelihood is, as we say, you have 5 weeks to go. I think you have 5 weeks before we start to see the move up. Now, we're not going to go up in a straight line. We never go up in a straight line. But I do expect us to come down another 5% on Ethereum against Bitcoin, and then we should start to see a breakout towards the beginning of next year. We shall have to wait and see. Now, the other one that I'm keeping an eye on is Solana. So what is Solana doing against Bitcoin? Well, it's holding its own. It's absolutely holding its own against Bitcoin. Now, we have drawn a bit of a trend line in here. And that is because pretty much all of this year, Solana has been doing this and doing incredibly well at it. Okay, so that is the next move. So what does that mean? That means that Solana, in my opinion, will outperform Bitcoin potentially between now and the end of September. If Bitcoin does not move 1 inch, so if we're at $64,000 at the end of September, I would expect Solana to go from about 160 to maybe 175. So I'm not talking massive moves, but I am talking some moves in relation to Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin drops 20%, I expect Solana to maybe come down 15%, something like that. I'm expecting it to hold its own. And again, there's a lot to happen in November. And again, Trump coming in is going to be a big shout, I think. So there are the charts that I want to look at before we get into talking about actual charts and what you should be doing. Again, I mean, there's a few things that I can do now over the next couple of weeks that I want to know if you want me to put together a list of coins that maybe you should be looking at. I did it a few months ago for Reza. I put together a list of coins that he should be looking at in a video for the members only side, but I don't know if you guys want me to give you a list of coins that maybe I think are going to go on a run. Now again, I'm going to give you a list, somebody else is going to give you a list, they're all going to differ, it's up to you. But I'll put some names out there, maybe over the course of this week. Bitcoin bulls run the risk of Bart Simpson. Bitcoin price dipped to 62,000. I will draw this in the chart in a minute. Bitcoin held its latest advances over the weekend, but there's plenty of arguments calling for a snap Bitcoin price retracement. We are at 64,000. We haven't really moved. Even though we're at 63.7, 63.8, it's pretty much the same price. And that has been static. We have not moved. So there's promising signals from the US Federal Reserve regarding policy easing in September, specifically the first interest rate cuts since 2019, really. 4 or 5 years ago, wow. Bitcoin was initially slow to react, but hit 2-week highs of nearly 65,000 before consolidating a little lower. There was a bit of a profit take there. The levels with more liquidation are 63.5 and 62.2. Well, I think we're probably going to hit and touch 63.5 this morning, or this afternoon, should I say. I think that's likely to happen. The Bitcoin USD could print a Bart Simpson pattern. It would make sense because they'd be filling the wick, stopping short positions and trapping some breakout traders, he explained. The drop would flush the delta liquidations with a long squeeze to support. And again, we have been looking at that this morning, and there is a positive funding rate, which normally means that we will come down a little bit. So trader ELM predicts 62.7 and then up to grab 71,000. Buying clean retests such as 62.7 after Bitcoin pumps are historically very low hit rate. When Bitcoin is ready to rip, it rarely offers clean retests. Now, let's go and have a little look at the price, because there's two options here. And again, we don't have a crystal ball, We cannot tell you exactly what is going to happen. We can only kind of hint at the direction. So the question is, let's get rid of that. That was my previous suggestion. And this is the next suggestion. Let's get rid of this. Okay. So I made a very, very clear point of highlighting this line here, which is what? It is the bull market support band, the base of it. Look how many times we wicked into it and didn't break it. I think we counted 7, 8 times. When we went up as fast as we came down. The same here, we went up as fast as we came down. Now, the retest for me, and I'm not saying we don't have a retest, the retest for me, I think would bring us, we'll get rid of this line now, would bring us somewhere here, which funnily enough is the midpoint. It's 62.7. So I think, yes, 62.7 is on the cards, around that price. What we do not want to see, and this is the problem, is we've come up very, very quickly. I do not want to see us capitulate back, because it took us from August the 3rd to the 23rd. It took 3 weeks to get back above the bull market support band. We do not want to give it up. Okay, so what would be great if we come down to the lower time frames? Right, okay. The worry is that this is a Bart Simpson. Okay, you can draw the eyes in there if you wish. Okay, it's a Bart Simpson. We don't want that. That's really bad. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to try and find a possible move to the upside. Now, there is an argument. These lines are absolutely impossible to read. Okay, so these lines, and I'm not saying this is perfect because clearly we've broken out beneath it, but the setup that we were looking at yesterday was this setup here. Okay, that was roughly the setup. Now that doesn't take us to 71,000, it takes us to 68,000. Okay, and again, it's not perfect because it started to slightly break down and we could be in a kind of downward channel now, so it's not written in stone. But the options are 68 or 62, and maybe we do this and then we go up. Okay, they are the two options. But either way, you can see that we are now starting to move out of the lows. So if we start to look down here, let's go back to the daily. Okay, we talked about whether that was the August low. We even said, based on historical data, we put in a local low before we go on our run. Now, if you go from 70,000 and you do a 30% retracement from 70,000, that's 7 plus 7 plus 7, that's $21,000. 70,000 minus 21,000 takes you to $49,000. Now, is that a coincidence? Maybe. But where did we come to? We pretty much came to $49,000 from 70. So you could argue, and again, Peter's been on the channel a few times, we're going to have probably 3 more 30% retracements between now and the end of the bull run, at least. So what that means is, I'm going to give you some kind of theories. Let's say, for argument's sake, that we get to this level here, let's say we touch 80,000. If we touch 80,000 and we do this over the course of the next few months, and let's say we break up, but we kind of sit there. Now, if we have another 30% retracement, where would that take us to? Well, 8 plus 8 plus 8 is 24. 24 off this would take us straight back to 56,000. Okay, below where we are today. We could do a 20% retracement. Where would that take us? That would take us exactly back to where we are right now. So when you're out there thinking, I'm in too late, or I've left it too late, and you've got these people telling you you've got 5 weeks left or 6 weeks left. No, there's always going to be retracements. We can go back over a very long period of time, and we can look at Bitcoin on the way up. On the way up, look how many red candles that we have had on the way up. We have always had huge retracements, okay? Always. Look at this one here where everybody thought it was probably over. We got to 38,000. We went from 40,000 all the way down to 28,000. Now, what is 30% of 40? It is 12. And where do you go from 40,000 if you take away 12,000? You go to 28,000. So even in the bull run, it is not up only. It's never going to be up only. You are always going to get a chance. It's a little bit like playing Man United. Man United will always give you a chance to score. Always. So we have a runaway and we break out and we absolutely fly and we break above 80,000. We're going to do this. Okay? And then we're going to do this. It's never going to go up in a straight line. You're always going to have a chance to accumulate more Bitcoin. The only time you don't want to be accumulating more Bitcoin is towards the end of the bull run. And that's when we're having a blow off top and the price is moving $5,000 or $10,000 a day for Bitcoin. And that happens for a very short period of time. Very short period of time. Oh, I've missed Chris. Good morning, Chris. Welcome to the stream. And Danny is here, if I've not already read you out. Really super quiet today. Really super quiet. Again, we will stream to one person. I know it's a bank holiday. I know everybody's gone away, but we will always be here. We're probably going to stream. We streamed last Christmas and we streamed last New Year's Day. This year, we're probably going to do the same thing. I know a lot of people out there don't celebrate Christmas. Fine. We will probably stream on Christmas Day. We'll probably stream on New Year's Day and New Year's Eve. The same as we did last year. If you don't believe us, go and check back. In the annals of time, we streamed on New Year's Day. I think it was a 10 o'clock show on New Year's Day and 10 o'clock show on Christmas Day. Like I said, not everybody in the world celebrates Christmas and most people celebrate the New Year, but we will still stream anyway. Now, the Ethereum ETF, they've had their first month. Now, I made a video about this, didn't I? And I said, will the Ethereum ETFs break crypto? And I do go on about this quite a lot because it's still relevant. We're only a month in. And I gave you my price predictions of 2,600 and 2,900 for Ethereum. They were my two price targets. And I gave you those price targets to the downside. I also gave you prices to the upside because, again, I do not have a crystal ball. Okay? I cannot tell you, that's the wrong one. I cannot tell you without a shadow of a doubt where it's going to go. I can only give you where I think it is going to go. And we came down to pretty much this 2,600 range here. And we did it. An awful lot of lines on this chart. Let's get rid of some of them. So we came down to the 2,600 range. That was my worst case scenario. So we hit our worst case scenario. And Bitcoin has a habit, Ethereum has a habit of carrying out the worst case scenarios. So we did hit it. And why did we hit it? It was pretty much telegraphed. Let's make this a little bit bigger. I think it's quite hard for you to read on the screen. The reason it was pretty obvious in hindsight is when Bitcoin went live, Grayscale dumped. Now, I said at the time, the Ethereum dump will not last as long or cut as deep because there's not as much premium and discount involved in the Grayscale Ethereum Trust. So they were my targets, previous price levels that we came down to. And again, I'm no TA expert, but it was pretty obvious we were going to do one or two things. Go to $4,500, $4,200 or come to $2,600, $2,900. And we did the latter. So what happened with Bitcoin? Several factors contributed to the more subdued reception. Bitcoin's dominant position in the market overshadows Ethereum. That is not the reason why, in my humble opinion, at all. If you look at the buying power of the ETFs on Ethereum, it's actually outperforming the buying power originally when Bitcoin came out. Why? Because the people buying into Bitcoin are now used to it. You go to a restaurant for the first time, you have something, pizza, okay? Everybody knows what a pizza is, and you have the pizza. And then you go back a few times and you buy pizza, you get used to the restaurant. Then you turn up and you say, right, okay, there's something new on the menu. It's, I don't know, carbonara. So you walk in and you're so used to having the pizza and you like the pizza, you're going to have the carbonara. So I don't take the Bitcoin argument as fact. I think we've trained these other funds and these institutional buyers, we've trained them in the ways of how to buy Bitcoin. And these guys have got diamond hands, and girls, they've got diamond hands. So when Ethereum came out, I wasn't expecting as much resistance. I was expecting it to take off quicker than the Bitcoin ETF. And that was the case. However, what we've seen in August is outflows or stagnant inflows. Why? Because it's August. I said in June we were going to have a boring July and August. And I know we've had the 30% retracements. I know all the news about Donald Trump. I know all of these things. But look at the Bitcoin price. We've been range bound all summer. Ethereum hasn't done anything all summer. The traders are on holiday. They're in the Hamptons. They're eating crayfish and lobster and caviar and smoking cigars and drinking champagne. They're not here. So who's going to buy these funds in August when they're not at their desks? And when do they return to the office? When their kids go back to school? And when is that going to be? The middle to beginning of September. So we have potentially 2 weeks before the traders walk back in the door. If you don't believe me, before July, look at the volume. The volume is 50 billion. Okay? The volume, when we were looking at this in April, May, June, was 80 to 100 billion. The volume isn't there. And I know it's a Monday and we've had the weekend. I know all of that, but it's probably not going to get higher than 60, 65 billion this week. The volume is missing because there's no traders. They're on holiday. Okay? They have such a hard life working 4 or 5 days a week, 8:30 till 4:30. They have such a hard life doing that and having the weekends off that they have to go for a 6 to 8 week holiday to calm down and relax and chill. So, understand that we're in the quiet season. So the performance of the spot Ethereum ETF reveals investor volatility and market dynamics. While initial enthusiasm was high, subsequent mixed results and outflows highlight Ethereum's challenges compared to Bitcoin. Again, nonsense article. Do not agree with any of this, Kyle. So Kyle isn't even an Ethereum maxi. He's a Ripple maxi, which is fair enough. We're going to talk about Ripple in a minute. But I don't agree with his arguments. There's plenty more arguments as to why it has dumped. And I am looking through this. And that's the only reference he makes to it. So let's look at the facts as they were. It came out on July let's say July the 20th. So middle of the holiday season it launched. So no traders at their desks. Grayscale dumped. So Grayscale dumped into a quiet market, which suppressed the price to the downside. It was expected. But Grayscale only dumps for a certain period of time and then it starts to go up. We've seen that with Bitcoin. So again, the summer holidays, traders being on holiday, and Grayscale dumping, they are the reasons why we are not seeing a $4,000 Ethereum. But it doesn't mean we're not going to get there. Give me 1 second. And we go back here. Right then, so what is the short-term look for Ethereum? A second. Right, so that was the go live. Okay, we moved into it. Grayscale dumped. We came down, and now we are recovering. The only thing I would say about that is the potential for another move to the downside and potentially moving down a little bit. But I don't know whether we're going to see that right now. I think Ethereum has probably bottomed out. The same as Bitcoin. Bitcoin got to 49. We got to 2100. That's where we bottomed out. And again, if we take, let's try and find a high, 4,000, take away 30%, brings us to $2,800, which is kind of where we are now. So we haven't really recovered as much as Bitcoin has recovered. And again, I think that's more down to Grayscale selling. But I think we're going to move back up. The next targets, let's move some of these lines around. There's so many lines on this screen. Let's get rid of that one. Get rid of that one. Probably don't need that one anymore, so we'll use that one. Right, the next target for me is this range here. That is 3,060 to 3,200. That's what we need to get back to. We are 20% away, 15% away. So we've got a lot to do on Ethereum, a lot more than we had to do on Bitcoin. But please bear in mind, we are going to see some movement to the upside, and you've got 5 weeks to take advantage of it. 5 to 6 weeks to take advantage of it. And I'm not trying to be shilly. I'm not trying to be clickbaity. You genuinely have 5 or 6 weeks left before we start to kick on. And looking at 2020, 2016 and 2012, it's happened every time. Now, history doesn't repeat, history rhymes, I know that. We can't expect Bitcoin to do a 5x as it did in previous years or a 3x in previous years, but what we can do is expect it to follow the same pattern based on the end of the capitulation, based on the supply shock of Bitcoin, based on the ETFs, based on the traders coming back from their summer holidays. I said it would be boring, and in my opinion, it's been pretty boring. I've said the same thing now for about 2 months, as you will know if you've been tuning in. Now, I am not going to do too much of a statement on this because the powers that be do not like certain commentary. So all I'm going to say about this is what I have said about anybody else that does this, and that is this. France is perfectly entitled to do what it wants on its own soil as long as it is within the rule of law, okay? And I think that applies to every country. As long as they act within the rule of law, I think we have no comment to make about that, okay? If they have suspicion of this gentleman, they are perfectly entitled to detain him. And that's the line I'm going to hold, and I hold it about everybody. I had it about CZ. Do I agree with it? No. Okay? But it's their law in their country, and we have to abide by it. If we don't like it and we don't live in their country, that's fine. We can only comment from the outside. If you are in France and you don't like it, then you know what you can do. So he was detained, and the price of TON absolutely tanked. Let me show you what happened to TON. Now, there is a bit of a coincidence with this. On Sunday, was it Sunday or Saturday, I made a video for the OGs, and I put that video up a good 12 hours before That's the wrong one, sorry. I made this video a good 12 hours before anything happened. And I basically explained what I could see happening in the future and why you needed to do some things, and that's as much as I can say. And then it didn't come true, but we saw the effect of it. So, TON, the open network, surged to all-time high. The interest of the spike follows the detainment of Pavel Durov in France. The arrests impacted on the price, which we're going to go look at in a minute. Early today, it reported that TON's price fell sharply after the public knew that Durov had been apprehended. I'm sure these articles are written by AI. They're not written by a human. I'm convinced of it. I'm convinced these are AI. The way the wording is written, it's not English. Its open interest soared to nearly 300 million, making it the highest level since the tokens launched. And an increase in OI often suggests more buyers than sellers, but that's not always true. In this case, the spike indicates that traders are increasingly engaging in contracts tied to TONcoin, reflecting heightened market activity and interest. The long-short ratio has moved from 0.58 to 1.4 within the last 4 hours. The ratio measures investors' expectations about a currency. The recent jump indicates there's a large part of those with open contracts expect the price to rebound in the short term. We're not going to talk too much about that. We'll look at the chart. I just want to have a conversation about this. Now, actually, let's find a chart that is a little bit longer in the tooth than this one. Now, what I'm going to say is, I have not liked TONcoin as a project. And I have said on this channel many times, I do not think it warrants its position in the top 10. Now, it has fallen down significantly. I think it was above Tron. I think it was above Dogecoin on Friday. So it's come down a couple of places. I think it's overvalued at 14 billion. And I think it was overvalued. I think it was at nearly 20 billion or 16 billion. It's overvalued in my opinion, but it is only my opinion. Don't forget that. It's only my opinion. Why do I think it's overvalued? Because I don't think it's proved itself. Now, could TONcoin be the Solana of the previous cycle? Yes. Solana came from nowhere, got up to $260, was it, in the previous bull cycle? Could TON do that? Could TON be the darling of this bull run? Absolutely. From where it's come from, absolutely. If we go back to the chart for a second and we go out to the daily, you will see just where TON came from. Okay? And it does have the Solana feel. If we go back to July last year, it was at $1.13. It got as high as $8. So it pretty much 7x'd in what? A year almost. Call it a year. Okay, so it's done incredibly well. Now, again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you not to buy a token because I don't like it. That's not what we are about on here. The same way that if you have an opinion that differs to mine, I will honor your opinion. Okay? We are not going to block people on this channel because of their opinion. We will only block them if they are offensive, as would most people. You're entitled to your opinion. If you like the idea of TONcoin, then what I'm going to tell you is this. This coin is probably going to get back. Hang on a second. This coin is probably going to be back at $6.60 before you can say, I don't know, Ethereum Maxi. It's going to get back above its bull market support band. It's on a bit of a run. Now, where should you have taken profits? Anywhere there would have been a good time to take profits, in my opinion. You've had a couple of retracements down here, and now this one. But if you look at the chart, this coin is going in this direction. And yet it can't keep going up forever. Nothing goes up forever. but it will float along with everything else. If Bitcoin goes to 75,000, then we're going to see TON moving to $8 or $9, which is up here. I'm sure I've just drawn on there. There we go, try that again. So that is where TON is headed. Not right now, maybe here, okay? So that's where TON is going to go. Now, I am not saying either that you should long TON, but I'm saying that you could look at a $9 TON and say to yourself, I could make an 80% chunk of profit on this. And then the question is buying TON coin at 560 going to get you a better return than saying buying Solana? Well, if I'm saying to you that TON is likely to do an 80% move in the next, let's call it 8 weeks, what would Solana have to do to get to a similar price? If Solana's at 160, it would have to go up $130. So it'd have to go to $290 to pull off the same type of move. I do not think that's achievable. So because of that, you would probably be better, if you had $1,000, you would probably be better buying $1,000 of TON today than $1,000 of Solana. Solana is going to move, yes, it's going to go, maybe it gets back towards 200, but that's a 25% move. TON coin has been emotionally, I nearly said emotional damage then after Uncle, what's he called? Uncle Jeff or something like that. So there's been a spike down based on news. I don't foresee that news keeping the price down. It was a shock reaction to the in the price. For me, it was a shock reaction. So what do I think is going to happen? I think this is very quickly going to move back up here and maybe move up. I think that's what's going to happen. Again, I don't really hold TON. It's part of the launch pool. I'm going to get some TON, but I don't really buy it, don't really hold it. But at this price, maybe it's rude not to. Maybe it's rude not to. Anyway, so for me, that's all I'm going to say about it. I don't want to get in trouble. All I will say is that the French are perfectly entitled to do what they want on their land. That's all I will say. And again, it's not really the channel to speak too much about politics. Now then, we're going to get on. We've got 13 minutes left. How Ripple's ODL expansion could catalyze XRP's price surge. Debate surrounds Ripple's ODL network and its impact on the price, with differing views from skeptics and proponents. There's a lot of very happy dancing people with XRP logos on. Look at them, how happy they are. I mean, she can clearly jump. She is clearly related to Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, that is some leap. All she needs is to get her head on the end of the ball. That's a great goal. Ripple's expanding ODL network is driving demand for XRP among market makers. The legal findings suggest ODL is designed to avoid major market disruption. It's called On-Demand Liquidity Network, and it is rapidly expanding worldwide. A debate is intensifying within the cryptocurrency community. Is ODL a driving force behind the price of XRP, or is it impact neutral? Skeptics argue that ODL's unique transaction mechanics, rapidly buying and selling XRP to facilitate cross-border payments, effectively cancel out any influence on the token's market value. XRP is swiftly bought and sold within seconds, minimizing exposure to its volatility. Some believe this setup makes ODL largely demand neutral, keeping XRP prices steady despite the rising transaction volume. As the ODL grows, these market makers must accumulate more XRP to meet the surging demand. With XRP's finite supply, this accumulation could increase the price over time. I would say so, and I would agree with that. If you want to send $100,000 from A to B, you are going to need that XRP to facilitate that move. And buying and selling of it is great, but you are going to need some of it on your books. So I would say over time, it will certainly increase the price. So the global expansion of ODL corridors, especially in high remittance regions, adds another layer to the discussion. As more financial institutions and payment providers embrace ODL, The cumulative demand for XRP among market makers could see a significant boost, potentially driving prices higher. On the flip side, ODL's rapid transactions might neutralize any significant impact on XRP's price by maintaining stability. Market makers accumulating XRP for ODL could face offsetting effects due to the swift transaction cycle. The expansion into high remittance areas might not lead to higher XRP prices due to ODL's balancing mechanisms. I would say over the long term it will have an effect on price because they will keep it in their treasury. Because potentially they want to make profits out of it. And that's entirely, again, within their remit. So we have come down to absorb the liquidity at 63.5 and we're back at 63.7. Interesting. Very quickly move on and have a look at the XRP price. I'm not going to look at every coin today because we do not have a lot of time. What I will say is, and I have told you many times, there was a very famous quote which went along the lines of, the reports of my death are greatly overstated. And I think with XRP, down here, I don't know if you remember me telling you, down here, you had your crypto influencers telling you that this coin was dead. Okay? They were telling you at 45 cents and 40 cents that this coin was dead. And I was telling you, don't listen to anybody on the internet, including me. Why? Because influencers influence you, and that is normally attached to a remittance. So somebody promoting Polkadot, which shouldn't even be on streams these days, why are they promoting Polkadot when nobody talks about it and there's no volume? They're being paid to, okay? XRP doesn't pay anybody. Bitcoin doesn't pay anybody. Ethereum doesn't pay anybody. The bigger coins don't. Cardano certainly doesn't pay anybody. So, to make themselves look better, they'll say, XRP is going to go down. You're going to buy XRP. You're going to be able to get XRP at 20 cents. That's where XRP is going. It's a dead coin. It's a zombie coin. Okay? That's what they tell you. The reality is wholly different. Now, I don't like coins that are trying to do too much. So Helium, I don't like it. Uprock, I don't like it. It's trying to do something which I don't think it's possible to do on the scale of investment that they have. To create a global infrastructure without backing is never going to work. XRP is different. They have an absolute battle chest of billions of dollars. They've spent 4 years trying to get South America, Africa, Asia, and now North America all on board. They have their own protocol. This is not the same as a 2-bit project with a $50 million market cap that tells you that it's going to put a Dogecoin flag on the moon. It's a different kettle of fish. Now, I am not saying it's going to $100. I'm saying you should be looking at $3 to $5 to $6 to $7, depending on how well the bull run goes. I'd say $3 minimum. October is a massive month for XRP because the SEC have got until I believe the 7th of October to appeal against the $125 million fine. It doesn't look like they're going to appeal. What does that mean? That means, in my opinion, that we are going to be over that price by the beginning of October. And then potentially we will be up here by the end of the year. So the plan is we wiggle around, we wait for the SEC not to appeal, and hopefully they don't. We then wiggle around on here and we move higher and we get to $1 by the end of the year, beginning of next year, and then we can talk about a potential 3 or 4 or even a 5x on XRP. So again, If somebody tells you that we're going to $100 for XRP, ask them how they are going to 200x their market cap in potentially 12 months. Ask them how it's going to happen. Okay? If somebody tells you we're going to go to $2,500 for Solana, ask them how. Okay? I don't see enough people being challenged that have these huge followings that can give you accurate predictions based on them just saying it's going to go to $2,500. Why do I think it could go to $3? If I've told you before that I expect the entire crypto market to go up a 4x, that would put it at $2.40. Okay, that's it. We're almost at $3. Now, with the XRP case coming to a final close at the beginning of October, I expect a pump. What do I expect from that pump? I expect it to go to 80 cents to $1. So I'm not expecting a massive rip. This isn't a massive rip. Okay, you'll make 50% on XRP in the next potentially 4 months. It's not huge. We've just been talking about Toncoin doing an 80% move. But the point of the matter is, if we go into the start of next year at $1, and I'm talking about the entire market doing a 4x, then there's no reason XRP can't do a 3 or a 4x. And people telling you it's dead have no idea. The same people that tell you that Cardano is dead have no idea. Cardano is built on the community. It is hard. I am not a massive fan of how they go about their business, but those guys are Marines, okay? The XRP case is different. For me, it's based on adoption and technology, both of which have already started to integrate into the banking system the same way Chainlink is going to have a great future, okay? You can pluck any coin you want out of thin air and give a ridiculous price target and make a video, but show me how it gets there. How does it get there? I can tell you how every coin we talk about on here gets to a price based on my estimation, not fact, based on what I think. Now then, token unlocks, we don't have a lot of time. We've got a few minutes. Who is here? There's a few people in chat. Remember to smash the like button. We don't have that many likes on the stream today. Hello, Peter. How is your shoulder? I hope you are okay. Tariq, sorry you're late. Good morning, everybody. It's a bank holiday, Peter. Tariq. It's a bank holiday, so nobody's here. Thank you for showing. It will take a minimum of 6 months until we see high and huge highs. No point hope yet. We're going to see them between October and December. We're going to see our first pump. It's happened in the last 3 cycles. There is nothing to suggest otherwise. Your strategy of selling in December is not a bad one. I'm not giving you financial advice, of course, but I think taking profits at the end of December might not be a bad idea because we might have a retracement. And as I said before you got here, if we get to 90,000, let's say we get to 90,000 by the end of the year, and we have a 30% retracement, that brings us down to 63,000. It's exactly where we are today. The alts will get probably crushed a lot more. So taking profits along the way isn't a bad idea, in my opinion. Now then, we're going to whip through these because I want to get to the last article. Optimism, Sui, and Zeta Chain have tokens unlocked. This week, $180 million is nothing. Yield Guild Games always has unlocks. We don't need to worry about that. Singularity has a 1.5% unlock, but they're not the same platform anymore. They don't exist. So I'm not sure whether that's fake or not. It's already merged. Optimism, they have an unlock pretty much every week, but I think it's every month. Echelon Prime, not interested in that one. DYDX always has fairly big unlocks. This is a 3.5% unlock, so that's a fairly big one. Sui, that's a tiny unlock. I wouldn't worry about Sui too much. Nothing to really write home about, nothing I'm really worried about. Athena, not worried about Athena. Again, small amounts. So Not a lot to worry about from the unlocks. Let's move on very quickly to look at Singularity. And again, the AI narrative went away. And I said, it will come back. I don't know when. But when the narrative goes away, that's the time to buy. And AI has been out of the picture for a while. $10 for Mantra halfway next year. I don't know what market cap that gives Mantra. I'd have to have a look. What I try and do is have a rough rule of thumb for the market cap and then work back to the price from the market cap. That's what I try and do. So if I think a meme coin is going to have a run up, I will aim for a $5 billion market cap. So perfect example is Mew. Okay, I think Mew could get to 4 or 5 billion. That's a 10x. I could see Brett getting to 5 or 6 billion. That's a 5 or 6x. Okay, so my rule of thumb is based on the market cap, which is then based on the total market cap of crypto. So I try and tie it to that. I don't look at anything else. There are going to be exceptions that do multiples of what I'm suggesting, but again, if I under promise and over deliver, then surely that's better than over promising and under delivering. If I tell you that Bitcoin is going to be at $1 million this time next year, and we get there and it's not, are you ever going to believe a word I say again? I don't think you should, to be honest. How AI could become the final boss whale of crypto. World-renowned futurist Ray Kurzweil suggests the singularity is coming sooner than expected. I have been using Grok 2.0 and I have to say it is excellent. Absolutely excellent. Really worth the look if you haven't. Everyone from Elon Musk, the CEO of Google DeepMind, has predicted that artificial intelligence will surpass human intelligence within a matter of decades. It's never going to be decades. Okay, it's never going to be decades. That is, I don't think people appreciate how exponential AI is going. 2 years ago, we had ChatGPT 2 or 3, can't remember which. Pretty crap. Today, Grok is a plugin for X, where I can go and type in, show me Snoopy dressed as a bat, flying over a mansion, eating a Bitcoin chocolate, and it will do it in 3 seconds, okay? It already answers all of my questions if I want to ask it a question, okay? So 2 years to do that. Where are we going to be next year? We're going to be in video. We're going to go from text to picture to video. I'm going to ask Grok and say, I want you to make a video of me, a photorealistic video of me talking about Mantra. I want it to be 5 minutes long with a beginning, a middle, and an ending. And I'm going to ask you to subscribe to Crypto Warehouse. That's going to be within the next 12 months. Now, the issue is one of control. We need governments to bring in laws to stop deepfakes. Okay, there was a deepfake release over the weekend on GitHub where you could download some software. You could take any person, Elon Musk, the Queen, the Pope, any person, plug them in, and it would make a photorealistic video of that person talking. That is dangerous. That is going to cause massive problems, and I don't want to talk about it too much. YouTube have done the right thing, by the way. YouTube are going to outlaw AI videos, and I am 100% behind that. There is a way to detect if it is created with AI. YouTube are working on it, and I am 100% behind that because it is dangerous, okay? Imagine I am a crypto channel with 2 million followers, and somebody creates a deep fake of me telling you to go and buy coffee coin. I don't know, let's say $5 million goes into coffee coin. Whose reputation gets damaged? YouTube's reputation and my reputation, okay? It's so dangerous. It is, I cannot express how dangerous it is, but it is not decades away. The AI singularity, in my opinion, is going to happen within the next 5 years. By 2030, we are going to have sentient beings on this planet that did not come out of a womb. That's where we're going to be. And it might sound hairy-fairy, but I'm listening to the people from AI academia who are talking about this. It's exponential. It's the same as saying, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, and suddenly you're at 2.4, 2.08 million or whatever it is within a matter of 16 or 18 steps. That's what AI is doing. So be very careful when people tell you it's decades away. The singularity, then, and according to Kurzweil, outside of his view, the singularity is, as mentioned above, merely an inflection point when an AI model becomes demonstrably better at reasoning than humans. According to Kurzweil, we'll reach this point somewhere around 2029. I've literally just said that. 5 years away. Artificial general intelligence is finally invented. Now, this comes back to WorldCoin and Sam Altman and Elon Musk. The problem with Sam Altman, and the reason a lot of his team left, is because he is working on AGI, and they don't want him to work on AGI. They want him to work on controllable AI. And governments around the world have asked for these companies to put 30% of their resources into how you control AI, not how to build it, how to control it. And AGI is the Terminator future if it's done wrong. And you can bet your bottom dollar that somebody is going to do this the wrong way. I can absolutely guarantee it. Okay? So Sam Altman and Elon Musk, I think Elon Musk is actually suing Sam Altman at the minute. Don't know how that's going. AGI, by this definition, would be any machine capable of performing any task that an average human cannot perform given the resources. According to Kurzweil, the singularity will occur in the 2040s when humans and AI merge to become a super being. The futurist says that this will lead to drastically longer lifespans, an end to disease, and an ultimate human utopia. Again, slightly going off on a tangent there. The problem is with a lot of these people, you could call them conspiracy theorists, is they just go one step too far, in my opinion. You hear people say, oh, what about this? Oh yeah, that happens. What about this? Well, we think that happens. What about this? Well, that's clearly lizards from another planet, an intergalactic being that have come here to seed planet Earth. And then you're like, well, why did you go there? Okay, why have you gone off on such a tangent about this? Stick to what people will comprehend, you lunatic. Okay? Yes, we are working. Elon Musk is working on his skull cap where people can play games by looking at the screen. I get all of that. But the AI singularity is a danger. The robots, again, for us to actually put ourselves in a situation where we would be, taken over, we'd have to be crazy enough to fit these robots with the ability to do that. It would be absolutely crazy, and I don't think we're ever going to get there. But we're not going to go down here. We're not going to go down this rabbit hole. Sorry. And again, it's talking about AI down here. We're not going to go too much into that. I just wanted to bring up the fact that we are, I agree, 5 years away from having an intelligent system capable of being better than we are at things. And again, it's going to be better for mankind. Ponky or Popcat for 10x? That's a good question. That is a really good question. I like them both. I'd say Ponky, but I do like them both. When I say I like them both, I don't actually like Popcat. I don't like it as a project, but I like it as from the outside looking in, and I can see the adoption. The same with Brett. I don't hold any Brett, but I can see why people are buying into it. Bonk, I can see the benefit in that. As I've said to you time and time again with meme coins, I don't expect the likes of Doge and SHIB to do well. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why. Let me go down here. Right. So Dogecoin is coming in at 11 cents. That 11-cent mark has been the price I've been talking about for Dogecoin for 2 years. 2 years ago, in the studio, I was with Julian and Brogan, and I said, right, when it gets to 11 cents, it's going to top out, sell it. We are 2 years down the line, and we're still at 11 cents. It's not moving. There is no value, in my opinion, in Doge. Okay, I love Shiba Inu. We give it away on the channel. I love it as a project. It's at 9 billion. Where's it going? It's not going to go anywhere. Pepe is approaching the point of not being able to pump too much because it's at 4 billion. You have to seriously look down the list to find coins that are going to rip. Popcat, to get to 5 billion, would have to do a what? 7x. Brett, to get to 5 billion, would do a 5x. But then we're getting down to Mew, which is our channel sponsor, but I'm going to make this very clear. We were making videos about them before we had the sponsorship. And the reason being is, it's at 500 million. It can do a 10x from here. Where are we? Ponke is only at 200 million. So to do a 10x would put it at 2 billion. It's something which can happen. Okay, it can happen, of course it can. Not saying it's going to happen. I can't guarantee this, but it's certainly looking that way. And then where was the one? Popcat, I think, is a lot further up, isn't it? Popcat is here, yeah. So Popcat, 750 million again. I think I've just been talking about that, actually. That's going to, if that does a 5x, that puts it at what? 4 billion. So they're all in the region. I think, again, we can't go too low. I'm very wary. Like, for example, going down here and me telling you that Retardio at 64 million is going to go to 6.4 billion and do 100x would be very remiss of me, and I would never do that. Retardio might get to 1 billion. That would still be maybe a 14x. But we don't know. I don't know. I'm just giving you my rough rule of thumb of how I look at these coins. Dogecoin is never going to do a 10x from here. Shiba is probably, well, no, it's never going to do a 10x. It's 8.8 billion. So what's the lowest coin that could do a 10x, in my opinion? Or the highest coin that could do a 10x? Would probably be Brett. Brett, Popcat, Mog, Mew, certainly. They're all 10x potentials because of the market cap, because of the value of the token. When an investor looks at a meme coin and says, right, how are we going to get this to 10 billion? They're going to look at Dog with Hat and say, it's too risky to do a 5x from here. This is too risky to do a 3x from here. But if we pump Mew or Turbo or Ponke, if we put $1 million in, or sorry, not $1 million, if we put $100 million into this, the chances are we could get it to $1 billion. And then suddenly the liquidity would be there for them to suck out because everyone's buying Ponke because it's done a 5x. So you've got to kind of look at that and see where we are. Now, I've overrun. Tariq, I did, but it's been so hot. Like, I thought the heat had gone, but it's like the humidity is like 98%. I woke up this morning, it was 27 degrees. I'm absolutely melting here. He's on the stream tonight. The Oracle is streaming tonight. So in 9 hours, I will ask him. My problem is this isn't the time, in my opinion, to be moving around. And the reason is that Bitcoin is leading the way at the minute. So where are we now? We're at 64,000, okay? We are going to have a fake out, as we always do, on a Monday, and we're going to go to 62.5, or we could break up towards 65, 66, 67 today. We don't know. That'll set the tone, hopefully, for a good week. I do think the longs are going to have to get liquidated, which means we're going to need a long squeeze. But I can't say. Now, the problem with Sol's starting to ignore everybody. Sol's at 161.40. It's up 2.6%. It's up more than anything else in the top 10 in the last 24 hours. So again, I'd be remiss to say, take profits now, look to buy back in lower, without having the Oracle looking at it. So he's going to look at it tonight. I will ask him later on anyway, and I'll get him to send me a chart. But anyway, thank you, everybody. It is now 1:15. I've way gone over. So I'm going to head off. It is a bank holiday, so I'm not likely to make a video today. The only other thing I'll say is Brogan is live tonight at 9 o'clock. That's his live trading show. And equally as important, on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central European Time, which is 7 hours from now, we will do our Mew giveaway. So make sure to tune in for that. I hope you get well, Peter. Right, let's have a look at the votes today. Are we going below $60,000 this week? 40% have said yes, and 60% have said no. Incredible. Right then, have a great bank holiday if you celebrate it. And if you don't, have a nice day. Have a nice Monday. I'll see you all tomorrow. Brogan is back tonight. Have a great afternoon.